Hi, this is Joe again with another movie review. And for today, to pretty much end my little theme of doing Disney films, I'm going to be doing the 1995 Disney film Pocahontas, which is of course the follow-up to the big Disney movie that came out the year before, which was of course Lion King, which I just previously did. Well, Pocahontas, because Disney ran out of doing movies on fairy tales and other children's stories and fables. So when you said my Lion King review, they did a original story, which the Lion King was. It was an original Disney story, and so of course, I guess, like I said, they kind of ran out of material. So now they decided to go to talk about a real life person, which of course Pocahontas of course was. And of course, and we'll get to some of the beefs I have with the film. I'm going to talk about the premise. For the premise of the film is of course the story of Pocahontas, who is like an Indian princess who meets, and of course in the Disney version, meets and falls in love with John Smith, who was voiced by Mel Gibson, who was really one of two real big names that was gave voice acting, then the voices to the characters. The other one being David Ogen Stiers, who played, the governor of the film, which was really basically the villain. Those were the only two real, well, I consider two big names who provided the voice acting to the film. And of course, and of course they meet and fall in love, and Pocahontas saves John Smith's life. And at that point, they decided to sell a few, or potential war between the white English settlers and the American Indians in the Virginia colony. That's where this movie was supposed to be, in the Virginia colony. And of course, the songs in here are terrific. When there was some one particular, this is a little more gruesome, but a little more harsh to take than your average Disney film, because it throws the racism angle in front of everybody's face. I mean, because it's pretty obvious, where the white English settlers wanted to kill any Indian that gets in their way, and they happen to show up, we're going to kill them. And well, the Indians at first they just want to observe these white people, and see if they happen to be friendly or not. If they're not friendly, then it's going to be, or hell's going to pay. And that's what eventually happens, because the big white warrior in the film, who was supposed to be engaged to Pocahontas, gets killed. I know, spoiler, gets killed while going after because he got jealous that Pocahontas was kissing John Smith. So he was attacking him, and then of course one of the other white settlers kills this warrior. But of course the music in this film is pretty good. Actually, one of the two songwriters, or the living member of the two songwriting team, that wrote the songs for Little Mermaid and for Beauty and the Beast, the one that wasn't gay and didn't die of AIDS, he co-wrote the songs for Pocahontas. So that's why the songs were pretty good, and did mix in some American Indian rhythms to all the songs. Of course, the big song in the film was Color of the Wind. And one of the big problems that I have with this film, in terms of the film, I thought it was a pretty good film with what Disney did with it. But of course, there's a lot of pet peeves that I have with Pocahontas. And of course, one big pet peeve that the stupid parent groups made, they're going to do with almost such about every Disney film. They complained that Pocahontas' skirt was too short. I mean, like I said in the other videos talking about the Disney films, these people gotta get a life. Seriously, you gotta get a life, people. because you have nothing else better to do than complain about every stupid little thing that's in a Disney film. Uh, but that's like a meaningless thing. Uh, my brief was when Disney was making or was promoting Pocahontas before its release in original release in 1995. That they hyped the fact, or they played up the angle that every person who voiced an American Indian in the film was portrayed by an American Indian, which I didn't have a problem with that. Because it felt okay, fine. It was like, okay, so what? But and remember, so what? I mean, it didn't bother me that Disney hired American Indian actors to provide the voice of every American Indian character in Pocahontas. It didn't bother me at all. And I think one of the American Indian actors, like the elder, or the witch, kind of like, I don't want to say witch doctor, but I'm saying the spiritual leader of Pocahontas' tribe. I believe he was voiced by Red Crow. I know his name was Floyd Red Crow. I forgot his last name. But he was in the movie Dances with Wolves. So at least this one guy that I know who was in it, and the one who played Pocahontas' father, or provided the voice of Pocahontas' father, was played Randolph in the Free Willy movies. So at least there's a couple of people that you will recognize. But like I said, it didn't bother me that I hired American Indians to portray the American Indian parts in the film. The problem, and Disney hyped that angle, because at that time, by 1995, was getting American Indians was getting pushing their agenda. And in some cases, rightly so. I mean, at that time, changing the names of several sports teams across the country, from not only from the high school level on up. I mean, for college, to the pros, and of course, the main angle now is that they're pushing for to change the name of the Washington Redskins, which they should. But when I found out when they were, and there was a television special, because they had a world premiere in Central Park in New York City for Pocahontas. It was on television, and if you look closely, I mean, you can see the movie playing in the background as the reporters are talking about. But the making of the film, and so like I said, they were hyping that angle of American Indians portraying American Indian characters in Pocahontas. When they keep overdoing it, and I remember remarking at the time as I was watching the special on television, I said to my parents at the time, and my sister at the time, I bet you this movie is not historically accurate. And my father says, how do you know that? Because they're overplaying one angle. They're overplaying the American Indian angle. As soon as I heard that, I said, no, I'm telling you now, this movie is not going to be accurate at all. But historically accurate. If you're doing like no matter if it's a cartoon version or a documentary or whatever, to me it has to be as accurate as humanly possible. If you get more facts on one angle, then I can see playing that. But if you totally change it, which is what Disney did with Pocahontas, I'm sorry, they totally changed it. Because with Pocahontas, if you look at Pocahontas even on the cover, even though this version she's an animated character, she is a major hottie. But the real Pocahontas didn't nowhere close look like this. I have seen like a portrait of Pocahontas, and there's no way in hell that she looks even remotely close to this. No way in hell. And besides that, in the Disney version, she was about like 16 years old. The real Pocahontas, where she first met John Smith, she was 12. And I think John Smith was about like 30 or 35 years old when he first met Pocahontas. So John Smith was almost 20 years older than the real Pocahontas. And they did not have a love affair. Like in the film. Like in the Disney film. They were not lovers. They never fell in love. It was all Disney bullshit. There's no way in that's just totally crap. There was no, they were not lovers in real life. The one thing that was accurate, that they did put in the Disney film, was that John Smith was captured by Pocahontas' tribe, and he was facing execution, and she did save John Smith's life from being executed, and she worked out a peace deal between the white settlers and the Indians. That part was true. That part they got right in the film. But everything else, with John Smith and Pocahontas potentially being lovers and falling in love, that was bullshit. It was so wrong on so many levels. But other than the inaccuracies in it, this film was not bad. I mean, it did overplay the racial tension between the Indians and the white settlers. I mean, they did overplay that. But in terms of the, even though I felt they kind of overdid it, that I mean, didn't have a problem because I thought it was like too intense for real young kids because they're teaching kids way too early how to hate people for what they are, what they look like, and stuff. I mean, they teach you if you kids watch this movie real young, it teaches you how to hate American Indians or hate whites. If you are not a white person, it will teach you how to hate whites as much as American Indians. But in terms of it was well made because it is a Disney film because they're all well made in some fashion, one fashion or another. But in terms of the inaccuracies bother me more than the actual story. But the story I felt wasn't that bad, not that terrible. The movie itself was not terrible, but the inaccuracies bother me more than if it was a good movie or not. I mean, I do recommend the Pocahontas. Don't have a problem with it. I do recommend it, but the inaccuracies still bother the hell out of me. And of course, not only this film, but starting with The Lion King and then Pocahontas, and then of course the next. I think they did like Mulan, they did Hercules, which was. I think Hercules was terrible. Mulan I saw in bits and pieces. Hercules I saw, and I thought Hercules was terrible. It was a terrible movie. And then the next big one they did was shoot. I forgot what the next thing was. I know it was Hunchback of Notre Dame. That one was also, of course, based on the famous novel. That was also pretty tough for young kids to take. Specifically how the gypsies were treated, and I think Hunchback of Notre Dame was too strong of a story or too adult of a story for a young kid to make into a cartoon. And of course Pocahontas, well, I forgot to mention that they did make a second movie, a direct-to-video movie, which kind of picks up from where this movie left off, which is very few or far between of the Disney sequels. And when Pocahontas goes to London and meets and falls in love with John Ralph, and you just meet John Smith again. I think Mel Gibson did reprise his role as the voice of John Smith, and which was fine. But the other pet peeve they do have in Pocahontas is the fact that the actress who provided the speaking voice in Pocahontas did not do her own singing. Julie Kuhn did all the singing for Pocahontas in the film, and she did a great job singing-wise. But if you want to hire somebody, this is my opinion. If you're hiring somebody for a speaking voice, and if that person can't sing a lick, they shouldn't be hired. And especially if you're making like a musical version of a story, they shouldn't be hired. In my opinion. But that's my review of Pocahontas. Please click on the video. Please rate it. Feel free to comment on it. Please subscribe to my channel, and please forward this video onto your Facebook, or share this video onto your Facebook pages. Thanks for watching, and catch you next time.